our TV show, The Woman Behind the Mirror, we're going to know who has the winner number. And number 10. Who has it? Do you have number 2?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, you're the winner. You have just won a delicious cup of coffee.
Really? Thank you.
This is for you.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Well, people, now we're going to watch a video. This video is about the story of a scientist. He is so obsessed with logic, symmetry, and all those kind of things. He is also interested in the outside world. However, one day, he falls in love with the most perfect creature he has ever seen. Nevertheless, he sees a little flaw on her cheek and became obsessed with it. Let's see what happened.
Georgia, have you ever thought about removing that mark in your face?
No, the mark has to often be color charred, and I was simply enough to imagine it might be so.
In another cheek it might, but in your cheek it represents something, some flaw. It shocks me.
Shocks you? Then why did you marry me? You cannot love what shocks you.
I have redeemed myself from materialism. I have transformed my life into a logic life. With blind logic, I can unlock every secret of the nature. Every possibility is possible. It's just a matter of time. Why Georgia hasn't abided me in this?
I don't understand either. Why does he think that? I'm so confused. From the beginning of our marriage, I have tried to be a good wife and achieved the ideals of Eimer. I worship him more than ever.
With my science, I have discovered why the volcanoes explode with such fires. I have discovered how to split the seas in two. I have discovered also when to measure the distance between the sun and the earth in the exact moment. But your Georgia doesn't understand that I can cure her. I can remove that sign of sin from her cheek.
It is terrible to possess such power, or even to dream of possessing it. Sometimes I think that I am just some mere experiment that needs improvement for him. Why does he want to take out my birthmark? I never considered the mark as a flaw. Many men were interested in me, and for them, the mark didn't represent any kind of flaw. What's more, I remember that most of them were willing to take the risk of kissing it. So it is difficult for him to accept and love me with his mark.
I am not mad, but I think that mark is the mortality taking the purest of the earthly molds and saying us, the whole humanity, that there is sorrow, that there is pain, and that there is death. Why Georgia hasn't abided me? Why? I can cure her. I can give her perfection. Heavenly perfection. But she doesn't want it.
I think that I'm wrong. Eimer loves me and he's worried about my well-being. And I really love him. So I am willing to sacrifice everything. I satisfy his deepest and highest desire. But I remember that Eimer told me that there is a danger. Danger is nothing to me for life, while this hateful mark makes me the object of his horror and disgust.
Wow, what a wonderful story you have just watched. Now, I'm sure that this story has a lot of names and symbols to deal with. That's why we have invited the Dr. Kate. She is a social therapist and a psychologist. Please, give her a round of applause.
Thank you for allowing me to be here today in the woman behind the mirror.
It's a pleasure for us. Please, have a seat. So, Kate, what do you think of the obsession of Aylmer?
Well, let me start by talking about perfection. You know that Georgia is indeed a beautiful woman, you know? But her husband is so obsessed to make her perfect and to change her little detail, her little flaw. But he did not measure the consequences of his desire and what he is doing to her.
Oh, Kate, I totally agree with you. His desire to create the ideal woman becomes a fixation that prevents him from seeing the good in his wife.
Right.
Now, Kate, let me ask you this. Is science perturbing his thoughts and beliefs, or is he attempting against nature?
Yes, for sure. I think that his pursuit of make her perfect attempts on our nature. I mean, we all living things, God creators, were created imperfect. And I think that that is what makes us special, you know. And Georgia, right? Georgia is her flaw. It was make her different from the rest of the women because she's not only beautiful but she's unique. And on the other hand, we have her husband, and he's a man of science, right? And it seems to me that he believes himself like a little god, all powerful, because science allowed him to do whatever he wants.
Yes. Well, in my own opinion, just because someone has the right or the power to do something, it doesn't always mean that it should be done. Yeah. Well, okay, let's go deeper into her flaw, the little flaw. What does the birthmark represent?
Let me think. Well, if you ask me, I think that her flaw represents mortality. You know, that is how nature reminds us that we are going to die someday. And also, it may be a reflection of our sins. Because Christians, for example, they believe that human beings were created in the image of God. I mean, Adam and Eve. But once they were exiled from paradise, imperfection and also death became part of their nature, part of our nature.
Yeah, I get your point. So the birthmark is like a symbol of human nature.
You're
Oh, thanks. Well, I know you're a very busy woman and you have to leave now, but would you like to add something else?
Yes, I would like to remark on how others' opinions can influence the way in which we see ourselves. For example, I heard once that you are not ugly until you go to school.
Ah, yes, because nobody can judge you for the way you are, other those kind of things.
Yes, totally. Look, for example, I have my own perception about me in my mind, how I am and who I am. But others have different perceptions about me in their minds. And those different perceptions also help to build and shape my own perception. And that's, for example, what when Elmer told Georgina that she is no longer beautiful to his eyes, and Georgina started to believe that, and she was no longer beautiful at her eyes.
Okay, we have learned so much today. Thanks for being here. Bye.
Bye.
Well, now we have our last guest. Her name is Sofia. She's a sociologist and has studied the role of woman during the time. Give her a round of applause. I'm so happy to be here today. Hi. Hello. Please have a seat. Well, Sophie, what can you tell us about the story we have just watched?
This story reminds me a lot about a book written by Nathaniel Hawthorne. He lived in the 19th century, and the story was called The Birthmark, and it's pretty much the same we have seen here with Georgia. And the difference is that it was settled in another time, but it's about, let me explain a little bit about the context and the role of women in the society of that time. I'm referring to the Birthmark book. So in that book, man was keen on science, and they believed that they could answer and explain everything through science. And when I talked about men, I mean just men, not women were involved in that, because the role of women was diminished to just obey their husband's orders and to take care of their children and just be a housekeeper. But in this case, Georgiana, when we talk about the book, was submitted to her husband's desire of making her perfect, even though she was perfect. And it's more or less that we live nowadays, because women are constantly in pressure because of society. Like our beauty is questioning because we are overweight, or we are blonde, or we are brown, and that is more or less what we can see in the book, The Birthmark.
That's a very good point, Sophia. And you know what? This story reminds me of the story of Pygmalion. Do you know something about it?
Yes, Yes, the story of Pygmalion was an ancient Greek myth, and it was about a sculptor that fell in love of his creation, of status, and Venus, the goddess of love, brought the status alive, and he married her. And during the book, The Birthmark, Elmer is constantly talking about this myth, and I think that this portray more than the myth portrays the reality that Elmer is living inside his mind, because he's telling us that he's creating and he's playing to be God, even though the creature was already created by God, and he just wanted to make her perfect. So that's the connection I see with history and literary devices here.
Okay, I really appreciate your visit here today to our show. Well, that brings us to the end of our TV show. Do not forget to follow us on